Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Construction Show by Crownsman. I'm your host, Jerrod Downey. We are here at CONEXPO. We've been doing lots of episodes all over the floor. This is a huge event. You have to, if you haven't been to CONEXPO, you got to see it. This is going to be our third episode with Ditch Witch, and we're going to have Chris Thompson. He's the product manager at Ditch Witch. We're going to be featuring a product that they're taking over the market with, right? Am I exaggerating to say that?
I think that's the goal for sure.
Yeah, and so we're going to cover that product, and it's going to be our last episode at CONEXPO. So, yeah, Chris, welcome to the show. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
They roped you into the last episode on the Saturday.
They did. No doubt about it. I kind of raised my hand and volunteered and said, yeah, I'll go last. And I heard the other guys did great, so they set a high bar for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump right into what we got behind us right now.
Sure. So this is the Warlock. So this is a W12. It's the first in our Warlock series of vacs. And so we make different types of vacs. We make trailer vacs. We've made some truck vacs before that have their own independent power source. This is the first time we've stepped into a truck vac that is running off the truck engine. And so typically people will refer to those as PTO truck vacs. That's not really what we're doing with this one. What we're doing is we're direct driving a transfer case, but we are using that 525 horsepower that Cummins engine produces to make a bigger, more powerful vacuum.
So how would this compare to other units you've had, just in size?
Yeah, so it's the physical size of it isn't that much bigger than what we've made, but the capabilities are around 4 times higher than what we've made before.
Can we, I want to get into specifics pretty quick here with the audience. What are some of the upgrades, like the specs on a unit like this?
Sure. So on something like this, you're looking at about 5,000 CFM. You're looking at 27 inches of mercury. And so what we're doing is we're really going for the top end jobs here. If you've got someone who's going to hydro excavate all day, every day, you got someone who needs to go out and slot trench, you need someone who goes out and follow a 26-inch micro trench blade, you can do all those things with this vac.
At this event, I mean, you're just with it in the background, can't really see the whole setup. You're right in this main entryway, right on this unit's right on the corner. Yeah. Must have been just a ton of conversation around it.
Oh yeah, so we're very busy all week long. The show's been amazing. It's also really humbling to come out here and represent all the people in Perry who work so hard on this. And so it's been very exciting to be able to do that and see their hard work pay off with all the excitement of the show.
So I know you touched on someone who's going to be using the application all day, but who is the client that's actually going to be using a unit of this scale?
Yeah, so typically these are going to be people who are professional hydro excavators. So they're out either daylighting as a profession or they own drills and they're needing to daylight their drill jobs.
What kind of questions are you getting coming through here? We were talking about some of the funny ones. Maybe we'll circle back to that. But what are some of the serious potential users of this? Sure. What are they trying to find out about this unit?
So everybody wants to know how much CFM it is. Everyone wants to know how hard it can pull, which is the mercury. Everyone wants to know what the tank capacities are. And so this is a 12 cubic yard tank capacity. We have 1,200 gallons of fresh water on board, and people are wanting to know that. Really what they're looking for is, okay, if I put this on a job site, how long can it be on the job site before I have to drive it off and either dump it or go get more fresh water? And so those are the questions they're wanting answered when they ask something like that.
I would imagine something that's half the capacity is obviously going to be not the same investment as this. So how do you sort of the ROI, how is that conversation built with clients?
So first you kind of talk about, okay, what are you going to use it for? And then what we see people do is, some people own drills and they're having to wait on a daylight servicing today. So if they're able to find the people, it makes sense for them to own one because now they're controlling their own destiny. They can go out and they can pothole and daylight the job sites they need to so they can get their drills working instead of having to wait on someone else to come in and then their guy's sitting idle waiting for someone to safely excavate in front of their drills. The other thing is you have people who are just paying so much money to have someone come out and do that service for them, and they're using that enough that, okay, it makes sense for them to go ahead and bring that in-house. Typically what we're seeing is if you're using about a third of the month, you're going to be money ahead by owning a unit as opposed to having a service do that for you.
Let's talk about our heavy industry tour brought to you by Savannah Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide. We are heading to events across North America, Africa, and Australia, and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of our Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. Fender Dunlop Usflex belts are engineered to withstand the harshest applications, delivering benefits that solve customer problems via superior rip, tear, and impact resistance. Usflex are extremely strong and robust belts that are difficult to destroy, which is important for heavy-duty bulk material handling environments. Made in their very own North American manufacturing facilities, this revolutionary concept in straight warp conveyor belting is up to 3 times more impact resistant versus competitor belting. USFlex users use fewer belts per year, make fewer belt repairs and replacements, reduce or eliminate belt downtime, and improve employee safety. You can visit FenderDunlopAmericas.com to learn more about their premium USFlex conveyor belting. Zeronox is the global leader in electric powertrain solutions, microgrids, and clean technology. They provide a platform for clean energy technology to come to market through powertrain solutions, development partnerships, and electrification kit solutions for conversions, all powered by Zeronox. Their mission is to empower communities through sustainable innovation as they partner with some of the world's leading OEMs to solve challenges across multiple continents with cleaner and higher performing technology. Empowering a clean, innovative, and higher performing future without compromise. Learn more at zeronox.com.
A unit like this, I was watching, I think one of your videos, or I was reading some specs, and even the frame to be able to handle capacity in that has been upgraded in this, or designed for that.
So we're one of the things that we're able to do is we watched the market for a little while, made sure that this unit was what we wanted it to be. So we have seen some units in the past that have a little bit of issue with center of gravity, and so we wanted to make sure first that our center of gravity was good. So we developed a subframe, so it's not sitting on a frame, but it's actually sitting on the chassis, so that you're sitting lower on it. Makes it more balanced. And then also we want to make sure a height restriction. So one of the guys who came in today owns one, and unfortunately they're working in a substation that has a 12-foot bar to get into it. And so now they're having to remote hose in. They actually can't drive the truck into the job site they want to use. They're having to back it up and then run extra hose to be able to do the job they want to do. We made this one at 11 feet 10 inches. That way you can go into any 12-foot bay. You can go on those types of job sites. So now you're able to actually use the truck the way it's intended, which is drive it onto the job site and work right there at the location.
What is the process? I mean, how? I don't know if you were part of the design team, but what does it take from conception, starting to watch the market? I'm imagining there's a lot of R&D that's good. What is the process to actually get this ready for the market?
Well, you know, we've been in trailer vacs for a long time, and so we had a little bit of an idea of the vac market where we wanted to go. We kind of stuck our toe in it with our HXT series, which is basically it's a trailer vac on a truck. We make some modifications so it maximizes the ability to be on a truck. But those are kind of the things we start with. But it's a years-long process, no doubt. A lot of people did a lot of hard work. You know, I took over the vacuum excavation role about 2 years ago, so I get to come in and kind of be the face and do the fun stuff. But there's a lot of guys who did a whole lot of hard work, you know, visiting with customers, talking to competitive owners, going out and doing all the research at trade shows, at job sites, at, you know, conventions where you have like a CGA where you go and you talk to people who are in the industry and find out, okay, what do they like? What do they not like? What are they needing the unit to do that maybe it won't do? And all that research goes into developing a product. Then you have to sit down and figure out, okay, you know, how do we make it the best product possible, which is really what we're after. You know, we want to build a truck that's going to be around a long time. We know that to break into an industry like this, we're going to have to be better than the competition because just another Me Too product isn't going to do what we want it to do. And so we have to think about all those things.
So would a client that needs this, are they also going to have other units that other one of your units on the smaller scale as well?
They could, yeah. So what we've seen is we've seen some people who will go in and they'll buy one of these and then they also own an HXT because maybe they're in a more urban environment. Maybe they're wanting to be just a little bit more mobile, or maybe they're just needing something to kind of supplement that as well. And so they'll have this unit for their big jobs, and then they'll have another unit maybe when they need a little bit smaller job, or maybe they're going to go out and do some micro trenching. They want to be able to drive forward in front of the micro trencher, which you can do on the HXT series. And so it's kind of what we've tried to do is build out a product line that has a need for every niche. And so you come to Ditch Witch and you say, hey, we need something for this job, then we've got an answer for that, whether that's a mud vac, whether that's a trailer vac, the smaller HXTs, or now the end of the series, the big one, the W12.
What are it is his last show, so we can be a little bit of relaxed. What are have you got some? Do you get some funny questions coming through here?
Yeah, we get
or
some
funny
questions.
Applications people are trying.
Yeah, so we've had some interesting stuff. We had someone who wanted to be able to take snow off the top of commercial buildings in Minnesota, and that was very nice guy asking a very sincere question, and I see that he has a need, but that's kind of the opposite of what we're trying to do. So we're wanting to dig down and safely excavate. This would have been going up on top of buildings and taking snow off, and I kind of talked to him a little bit about it, about, you know, what the challenges I saw were, and ultimately it's not something this unit was really designed to do, but it was an interesting application to talk about.
Do you actually? I wanted to on a more serious side. If you're investing in a piece of equipment like this, what are what are some actually errors people are making with machines like this, or use cases where they're actually even endangering the machine or over extending it or anything like that?
I think that especially if this is your first step into a large truck back like this, in a micro trench application, you can do something called belling out the hole, and that gets in the weeds a little bit. But basically, what it is you're sucking. This has such great capacity that it'll end up sucking too much material out of the bottom of the hole and making like a bell shape, as opposed to what you want in a micro trench, which is a nice straight line.
Right.
And so that's just a matter of kind of feathering the vac and kind of learning the capabilities. And so when you get into something this unit, a unit this size, sometimes you have to learn a little bit like that. Other people will do something where they'll try to maximize the water on board by using a little bit less water. And if you don't make it soupy enough, you'll get some clogs. Typically in a unit this size, that's not that much of a problem, but you do want to find that right ratio of making the material flow without making it too much of a soup.
We were talking off air, and I didn't actually realize that your dealers are doing full product line.
Sure.
And all over the world. Mm-hmm. Where are these? What environments are they being used in though? And I just mean like, let's say New York as opposed to Wisconsin or Kansas or whatever. These
Sure.
the completely different environments.
Right.
Is this applicable everywhere?
Yeah, I think it has a niche just about everywhere. So it just kind of depends on how you're going to make this tool work for you. So when you're out in California and you have a lot of traffic and there's restricted job sites where you can dump, you want to have the capacity of this truck so that you can go longer between going to those job sites. You don't have to take the vac off the job site and spend 2 hours in traffic trying to get to a place that you can dump. When you have a 12-yard tank, that allows you to stay on the job site longer. You get out into a Texas, particularly West Texas, where the job sites are further between and maybe it's a little more remote. And so now you've got something you can put on that job site and you're not having to worry about trying to go a long distance to dump or a long distance to get water because you're able to stay on the job site all day here. You get up into the Northeast and you have a bunch of buried utilities and people are trying to go in there in very congested right-of-ways, and you're able to go in and softly excavate and expose those utilities so that you can go down and do the repairs and or put new product in the ground and make sure you're missing the existing product. So people make it work for the areas.
Dayquip specializes in the design and manufacturing of attachments for all makes and models of compact excavators, wheel loaders, crawl dozers, and articulated dump trucks. You can choose from any of their engineered attachments, or they can design and build to your specifications. All of their products can be shipped anywhere in North America, hassle-free. If you don't see it, just ask and they will build it. Check out their website, www.dayquip.com, or email them, info@dayquip.com, for sales, quotes, and support. DMH manufactures CNC lathes for seal production, semi-finished materials for seal manufacturing, as well as machine seals. But they are much more than a seal manufacturer. They supply the technology for seal manufacturing in the form of machines, seal software, and tooling technology. Altogether, this allows the simple manufacturing of nearly every seal within the shortest amount of time. The products are also used in a wide range of industries such as mobile hydraulics, mining industry, heavy industry machinery, oil and gas, wind energy, renewable energy, aviation, food and pharmaceutical industry, transportation, and automotive industry. To learn more, you can visit them at dmh.at. Seal technologies of the future, already today. Based in Southern California, Enhanced Scanning has performed thousands of projects on construction sites across the U.S. in an effort to help its customers find the unfindable. Enhanced Scanning combines ground-penetrating radar, laser scanning, and drone inspection services to provide comprehensive deliverables for their customers' fast-paced timelines, all without sacrificing quality or communication. To learn more, you can visit them at enhancedscanning.com or find them on LinkedIn at Enhanced Scanning.
I wanted to also touch on the training. Again, if someone's got a smaller unit now, they're upgrading to something like this. You said, what did you say about what's it called when you Ewing it out, or bowling it out? When you said it's like you suck instead of a
so belling out the
belling
hole.
out. So to avoid things like that, what is sort of the approach if someone at the show they get it and away they go? Is there a sort of a training? How do you sort of ensure right use of application?
So one of the questions we've gotten this week is kind of what's the difference between you and this product or this product? And one of the answers is the Ditch Witch Dealer Network. And so typically speaking, in the large truck back market, you're finding retailers who are very good people, but they maybe have limited locations. Maybe they're not necessarily brand loyal, and so they'll have different models there that they're servicing. We've had some people come in and say something like, I bought a truck from this guy in this area, and when I called back to get a filter for my blower, he didn't even know what it was. And so they're selling something to have a product in the market, but they're not necessarily the manufacturers of that product. They don't necessarily understand all the uses of that product. And so the advantage you get from a Ditch Witch dealer is there's always going to be one nearby. You're going to get the same consistent level of service across the board. You're going to know who to call, have a relationship with them, and then you can get the training. I mean, things like we're talking about belling out a hole for micro trenching, that's something that our dealers are uniquely positioned to train on because we have a full micro trench solution. And so that's the advantage and the value you get whenever you buy from.
So when I come to do these interviews, a lot of times I'll get little notes, and I saw one. It says daylight with a question mark. Can you explain this? And I don't even know what it's referencing.
Yeah,
I hope you do.
So there's things that we do that are kind of jargon that we talk about, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you know what that is," but then when you're not in the industry every day, you don't always know. So potholing, daylighting, exposing utilities, those are all interchangeable terms. Basically, what you're doing is you're taking a utility that's under the ground and you're exposing it to daylight by taking all the dirt off the top of it. That way, you know exactly where that utility is. When you're doing utility locates, what you're doing is you're putting a field onto that utility, and then you're reading that magnetic field. That's very accurate, and it's a very good way to do it, but it's not as precise as actually exposing the utility and then seeing it yourself. And that's what we want people doing, particularly when they're on a job site boring. We want you to bore down to the depth of your bore, expose that utility, and then you're watching that bore head go through past that utility, under it, over it, however you're doing that. But you want to make sure you see it safely pass. And to do that, you have to daylight or expose one.
So would that tie in? How does this product tie in with some of your other products, or is this sort of a standalone unit?
Well, that's the beauty of it, is it can be a standalone unit, so it's going to bring in a new market for us that we haven't always touched. But also, one of the things that we're focused on as a product management team and as a company as a whole is a total job site solution.
Right.
And so when you go on to a underground construction job site, we want to have a solution for everything, whether it's locating it, whether it's repairing it, whether it's putting it in the ground, whether it's exposing it. We want to have something that if you're thinking about putting pipe in the ground or working on an underground utility, you're thinking Ditch Witch. And so that fits into this portfolio nicely.
Just before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on best practices for this. I'm guessing I haven't worked in this specific industry.
Sure.
So I'm guessing there's a lot of, I come out of the mining world, there's a lot of different type of soil, rock, all this type of thing.
Sure.
What is sort of best practices in a unit like this in all these different environments?
Right. And so one of the things, the best practice is you need to respect the unit. So it's very powerful. So you need to make sure you're wearing the proper safety gear, that you're using all the proper procedures, like making sure that you don't dig with the wash wand. You want to make sure that you're starting your hole small and then growing bigger. When you get to an area, the whole idea for this is safe dig. So we're wanting you to stay around 2,800 PSI. That's how we spec out the system. And so the system is set up for 10 GPM. You can actually run a dual reel. So we have a 20 GPM pump. So you can get 10 at each end if you need to. 2,800 PSI is where we want you at. When you get into kind of a harder digging condition, like you've got a compacted clay, we really don't want you turning up the pressure, because that kind of gets you away from the safe dig idea, which is really what we're wanting to push. And so you could have a boiler on board, a 420,000 BTU boiler. You can turn that temperature up. And so for a layperson, it's like thinking, okay, I'm washing my dishes. I'm not going to wash my dishes in cold water. I'm going to wash my dishes in hot water, because it helps remove the dirt and the grime on your dishes. Same thing when you're digging. It's going to help move that clay out. It's going to break up that clay and move it faster for you. And so that's really a more efficient way of digging in a hard compacted soil than trying to do more pressure. Pressure you want to stay away from, because what you're wanting to make sure you don't do is damage any utilities.
Would most operators, though, they'd be a pretty good understanding of that just through looking at the specs, right?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think where people get away from is, the wash wand or the dig wand isn't it's not a pry bar. And so you shouldn't be using it to pry pieces off of what you're trying to dig. You shouldn't be submerging your nozzle, because when you submerge your nozzle, it can mess up the fittings on it and the seals. It's not designed to go under the slurry. It's supposed to be on top and cutting extra spots.
I guess that's just one of those things when I've done it on a job site. You just like, I'll just do that. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Right? You know better, but it's sort of that clarity to know that's not even an option to do it.
I think, I've got a son who's 15 who I'm teaching to drive. And so I'm having to think about all my bad driving habits and get away from that. Isn't it bizarre? And kind of go back to that best practices. And I think that happens in hydro excavation sometimes too. People do it so long, they get so comfortable with it. You think, okay, hey, wait, I'm not really supposed to be doing some of those things. And when you're using a unit that's powerful, you've got to be careful to really be on top of it.
It sort of upgrades the need for it.
Yeah, it'd be like driving in heavy traffic where I'm not just on a lonely highway by myself. I really got to make sure I'm watching everything.
Yeah. So just to wrap up, so an event like this, I mean, when you look at Conex, huge investment for the company. Of course, we don't need to get into the numbers of it, but just it's huge money. The setup that you've done here. Do you see a lot of value of it, bringing out a unit like this into the hall, letting people look around, touch, feel, see?
Oh yeah, there's no question about it. And you know, like I said at the beginning, it's very humbling to be able to come out and represent this product. And you know how many people have worked hard that don't get the opportunity to come out and see the reward of all these people. We knew it'd be busy this year. We had no idea it would be quite as busy as it has been. I mean, there was barely walking room in the booth for the first 2.5 days of the show. It's been very good turnout. One of the things and advantages that come out to the show, you start hearing about, okay, we know this can do some of these things, but you hear about people are actually using it for those things. You have people who are saying, hey, I saved my company this much money with my own hydro excavator. You have people talking about, hey, I'm now using this in conjunction with the locator to build a high accuracy map of the utilities in my area. Not only does that help that contractor be more efficient, but it helps everyone on the job site be more safe. One of the things we really try to focus on Ditch Witch is that we want the industry to do well. We feel like if the industry does well and grows, we're going to get our fair share of the sales. And so we try to be really industry focused as far as, okay, how can we make underground utilities safer and better, and a wider use of horizontal directional drilling, wider use of trenching, wider use of hydro excavation, so that we can earn our fair share of those sales, but also make that industry healthy and viable.
Right. Chris, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And thank you to Ditch Witch. They, what you don't see behind the scenes, they've been allowing us to store our gear here at their booth, and just had a great team. So thank you to them. We did 3 episodes with them amongst all the other shows we did. And we'll have lots of links and ways you can connect with their team and that in the description below. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you on the next episode of The Construction Show.